It's now 3 minutes past 7 p.m., December 12, 2017. We are now about to begin our regularly scheduled council meeting. Uh, Mr. Clerk, would you please proceed with the roll call
Mayor Joseph,
here?
Councilwoman Keys,
Here.
Councilman Bieneme, Councilman Desume,
Here.
Councilman Galvin. Yes, he's back there. Mayor, we have a quorum to proceed.
Thank you very much. We'll proceed with the second line on the agenda with Officer Duhamel Janit from the North Miami PD to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Everybody, please stand up. Face the flag. Put your right arm over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if you don't mind, please remain standing while we call Rabbi Avohem Lipschitz, who's going to lead us in invocations. La lumière brille toujours dans nos cœurs. La lumière brille toujours dans nos cœurs. The light always shines in our heart.
Thank you. The light of peace especially. That's the most important of all. I'm now going to call on Carol Keys to light the first candle, and we'll go ahead and we'll say the blessings together. So it's not going to need to be melted back in? Okay, perfect. So we'll sing the blessings together. There's the three blessings. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam asher kidishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner Chanukah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa nisim lavoteinu bayamim hahem v'izman hazeh. As we sing the third blessing, belighted, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. Thank you very much. And in way of just a short prayer, number one, obviously, as you said, the light of peace must always be in our heart, must always guide us. And tonight, the night of Hanukkah, these candles represent tolerance, warmth, but most importantly, we pray that the way we deal with everything that's going on in life and in the world and in your city of North Miami, our city, is simply by lighting another candle. If we can just keep on focusing rather than getting pulled into the darkness and become part of that chaos, our job is to look at the darkness, dispel it by simply lighting another candle. And with that, I pray that God grant all you the wisdom to be able to continue ruling this city through continuously lighting another candle of goodness, another candle of peace, another candle of unity, and another candle of tolerance. And that's the way this city continues to be the city of excellence. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you. God bless you all. Also, if I may just use this moment to let you know that God willing, on the 18th outside, we'll be lighting together the city and God willing, the mayor will be on the 18th, you know, right outside.
The entire council is gonna stay down like as we call Chief Zuriga, Interim Chief Zuriga, to please come forward so we can honor the Officer of the Month.
Good evening, everyone. We're here tonight to recognize Detective Alonzo Reimer, who's the Officer of the Month for the City of North Miami Police Department. Detective Reimer is a tremendous asset for our agency. He's currently the Officer of the Year for 2017, so you see his work continues. And he's receiving this recognition due to his hard work on a recent armed robbery case that occurred at the Family Dollar store, where he responded immediately, took over the investigation, ended up finding some critical evidence in the form of fingerprints, identified the subject, and within 24 hours had the subject in custody, along with the shotgun the subject used to terrorize the victims in the store. And it turned out the subject was involved in 6 armed robberies on the north end of Dade County in North Miami Beach, North Miami, and Miami-Dade County. And he was able to get him to confess to those, so we got this dangerous criminal off the streets. Tremendous work by Detective Reimer.
The recognition reads as follows. City of North Miami recognizes Detective Alonzo. It's L-A-N, not L-O-N. I just confirmed it with him. Alonzo Reimer, Officer of the Month, October 2017. On behalf of the City of North Miami, we recognize you for the 18 years of service as a North Miami police officer and for your dedication and compassion during those years. Your bravery and devotion to the betterment and general welfare of the city is greatly appreciated. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Arthur, you want me to mention? Okay, you sure? I was ready to. Okay. I just have to ask. Oh, we got it.
Guys, we have one more. Yeah, we just learned that we have one more special presentation, which is the award that's going to be presented to the employee of the month. It's just, of the quarter. Supposed to be a secret, right? And it is to me.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's always difficult when a new director comes to a city and he takes over a department. It's especially difficult when that director is given the charge of redefining the department, as I was. And a key cog in me redefining my department was Miss Vicky Santos. She was integral in everything that we did over the past couple of years, including when we insourced our department, and she was in charge of training almost an entire department at the same time. Besides doing that, she kept up with her work. She ensured that they were doing everything correctly, and it went almost seamlessly, which was a miracle in itself. When I first became a manager in government, a police chief brought me into his office and wanted to explain some things to me. And he showed me his wall, and on his wall was 40 pictures. And he said to me, he says, the best thing that a manager can do is prepare his employees to take the next step. He says, everyone on this wall, I either hired or trained, and they became police chiefs. I have not had as distinguished a career as that gentleman has, but I have 8 people up on my wall already that either became chiefs or building officials. And I'm proud to say that I am confident that one day Ms. Vicky Santos' picture will be on my wall. So if I can ask her to come up and get her plaque. Very well deserved.
You go for the CD? I've never met you before. Huh? Which department? Oh. I never go to that department. I don't know why. I'm only kidding, folks. The City of North Miami, this plaque is presented to Vicky Santos, from 2017 North Miami City Employee of the Quarter. So that's in my office for next year, until next year. No? Oh, it goes to you. Now you get to make a speech. Don't make a state of the city address, just like your director did.
I just want to say thank you to Steve. Without him, I wouldn't be nominated, and without him, thank you. He encourages me, and he supports me, and I appreciate it. I'm very happy to work for the City of North Miami, and I love what I do. Thank you so much.
Oh, you did that first? Yeah, you step forward first. You step forward with the name. Step forward. How you doing? No, now you're doing good. And we never see these pictures. All right, let's continue. Wow. I was that good? Now, Mr. Mayor, I believe we, not Mr. Director, no, Manager. What's wrong with me? Must be the Bitcoins. We up to the point where we have to ratify the agenda, where additions, deletions, amendments will be dealt with.
City announcements?
Where are we? No,
Yes. Oh, no, you're
Oh,
right,
we-
you're right. No, you're right.
we didn't do
We
that.
didn't do order of business. You're right, sir.
Yeah,
I have no changes, sir.
no changes. So, Mr. Attorney, I have to make sure that our agenda is set according to your rules. We can proceed.
Yes, Mayor. The agenda's set. You may proceed.
All right. Now I'll call is it Miss Timothy or Miss Baker who's going to do city announcements, events? Miss Timothy.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff, North Miami neighbors, and guests. I am Cassandra Timothy, Public Information Officer, and it is my pleasure to share some of the city's upcoming events and programs this holiday season. Each year, the AIDS Ministry of St. Stephen's collects toys for children of families served by Food for Life Network. The angel tree is located inside City Hall, first floor lobby. Take a name tag from the tree and return an unwrapped gift to the office of the Mayor and Council. The last day to bring gifts is Friday, December 16th. Join the dedicated and talented members of the Sew and Soothe and Crochet Group at the Griffin Community Center on Wednesday, December 13th, beginning at 10:30 a.m. for a public showcase of their quilts made with love. The North Miami Mayor, Dr. Smith Joseph, cordially invites you all to a Key to the City presentation and community forum recognizing the work of the Honorable Stephanie Auguste, the Minister of Social Services and Haitians Living Abroad for the Republic of Haiti, on Wednesday, December 13th from 6 to 9 p.m. in the Mocha Paradise Courtyard. Soccer for Success takes place this Thursday. Girls and boys ages 3 to 18 will receive free soccer training in partnership with the U.S. Soccer Foundation on Thursday, December 14th from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. at Ben Franklin Park. Registrations will be taken on site. The next series of Tropical Nights of North Miami will feature Haitian Compa Band Class performing live on Friday, December 15th in the Mocha Plaza from 6 to 10 p.m. Join the North Miami Parks and Recreation Department for Breakfast with Santa. Enjoy a free pancake breakfast and take a digital photo with Santa on Saturday, December 16th from 9 to 11 a.m. at the Joe Celestine Center. On Monday, December 18th, join Councilwoman Carol Keys and the members of the North Miami City Council for a community menorah lighting in the Mocha Plaza from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Registration for winter break is now open. Campers will enjoy holiday parties, field trip, interactive activities, sports, and nature experience. For more information, contact the Parks and Recreation Department. Monday, December 18th at 9 a.m., the City of North Miami will begin distributing application for its District 1 Housing Improvement Program. Distribution will take place in the Community Planning and Development Department. The Housing Improvement Program is a repair and rehabilitation grant program established to address aging and deteriorating homes in District 1. For pre-qualifications and information and instructions, contact the Community Planning and Development Department. Calling all 11th and 12th graders in the city of North Miami, the University Relation Board invites you to participate in their annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Essay Contest. First place prize, a personal tablet. Second place prize, a $50 gift certificate. The deadline to participate is Thursday, December 21st. Remember, North Miami administrative offices are closed on Friday, December 22nd and Monday, December 25th. The City of North Miami wants to connect with you. Stay up to date with the latest happenings in our city by visiting www.northmiamifl.gov and clicking the Connect with NOMI icon on the homepage, where you can sign up to receive our free monthly newsletter. You may also tune in to our free governmental channel, NOMI TV, available 24 hours a day through the city's website. Residents may also connect with the City of North Miami on Facebook, follow @NOMI News on Twitter, and download the My NOMI app. Thank you, and see you next year.
Thank you very much, Ms. Timothy. The consent agenda has 5 items, A through E. We are looking for a motion on this.
I have a motion made by Councilman Desiree to approve the consent agenda. That motion was seconded by Vice Mayor Galvin. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes with a 5-0 vote. Tab F. Proposed resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of North Miami, Florida, authorizing the city manager to issue purchase orders to Enterprise Leasing Company of Florida, LLC, for an aggregate amount not to exceed $125,000 to provide the North Miami Police Department with services related to the rental or lease of vehicles for administrative and law enforcement use, piggybacking the preferred rate agreement with Enterprise Leasing Company of Florida LLC generated under City of Miami Beach Invitation for Bid number 214-176-LR, providing for an effective date and for all other purposes.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. The item that you have before you is staff's recommendation to award a contract and issue a purchase order to Enterprise Leasing for the purpose of car rentals, to be used by the city's police department, particularly in the areas of undercover work. The contract that you have before you is actually at a lower rate than the rate that the city had. It is approximately savings of roughly about $7,500 in the total contract amount. It is for a 1 year with an additional option year to renew, and for a total not to exceed amount of $125,000. And if the council has any questions, I'll be glad to take.
Okay, since I see no question yet, we have to open this item to the public before we make further discussions. The item is now open for public hearing. It's type G as in God or good for anyone who wishes to be heard from the public. F? Okay. F as in Farina. I see no one coming to the mic, so public hearing is now closed. Members of the dais?
Yes, sir. Let me ask you one question. Mr. Director, so this is for 27 cars?
No, it's approximately, if you'll see in the second page.
I'm looking at the
which is
second
the
page.
Summary. You'll see that it's roughly, approximately a total of 14 automobiles.
Okay.
And I say approximately because it can vary in terms of the needs of the police department. Essentially, you see it's about 10 automobiles for undercover work. And again, the need for these rentals is so that the police department has an opportunity to change these automobiles up so that they are not easily identified.
Question, and this is just a random question. Why the 4? I get the 10 for undercover work. Why the other 4? Is that practical in other departments, Mr. Manager?
Having 4 vehicles for command staff is pretty normal business. I know it's done at the county, City Miami Beach. So this would be for your chiefs, and your assistant chiefs. So it's pretty standard operating procedure.
That's it? You have any more questions?
No, that's it, sir.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilwoman Keys to approve tab F. The motion was seconded by Vice Mayor Galvin. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes with a 5-0 vote. Tab G, proposed resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, approving the city administration's selection of Cardinal Contractors, Inc. to perform the Winston Water Treatment Plant Filter Rehabilitation Project, further authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute an agreement to complete the project in an amount not to exceed $4,442,000 in accordance with the terms, conditions, and specifications contained in invitation for bids number 30-16-17, providing for an effective date and for all other purposes.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. Once again, Alberto Estrada, Purchasing Director, City of North Miami. The item that you have before you is staff's recommendation to award a construction bid for the filter rehabilitation project at the city's water treatment plant. This project is but the first phase in a multi-phase improvement and retrofit, essentially, the entire plant. Our department issued a solicitation in July of this year, and in response to this solicitation, we received 3 bids from companies that are very experienced in this type of specialized work. The results of the bids are found on the second page of the council report. As you can see, the bids were submitted by Cardinal Contractors, which is the lowest responsive and responsible bid, for $4,442,000, followed by Kiewit Infrastructure South, and their bid was $4,733,000, and lastly, Wharton Smith, and you see that their numbers was $5,075,055. These bids were evaluated by staff along with the project engineer, Hazen and Sawyer, and is being recommended for your award, once again, to the lowest bidder. The total duration for this project will be 425 calendar days.
Through the mayor. In addition, I believe each of you were briefed since the last meeting we had this item. You were also provided with a 2-page memo that kind of more directly got into some of the details. One of the things I wanted to add it to the record, based on the discussion from the last meeting, one, the issue associated with borrowing money for the $1.2 million associated with buying water during the implementation of the project. There are 2 financial reasons why that borrowing is considered to be appropriate. One, the interest savings, if you will, in our enterprise fund, our collection rate is roughly about 88%. So we have a 12% kind of bad debt collection rate. We're borrowing the money in this case for 1.13%. So that swing in the imputed interest in the collection rate versus the interest saves the city some interest costs. The second thing, because the water purchase during the implementation of the project is a eligible cost to be borrowed under the state revolving fund, the city is now eligible to receive, and it's approximately about 18% principal relief on the loan itself. So that's about $800,000. If we reduce, or if we take the 1.2 million out of the 4.2 total, 4.4 total, then the amount of principal relief we would be eligible for ends up being about $550,000, $560,000. So we're allowing ourselves the opportunity to have principal relief of an additional $260,000, which is way in excess of the interest that we would pay on the $1.2 million for the water. So I just wanted to add that to the record.
Thank you very much. The item is now open to the public for anyone who wishes to be heard. I see no one coming to the mic, so public hearing is closed. Members of the dais.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, if you allow me. Mr. Manager, I was okay this afternoon after my briefing, but now I'm a little bit more confused. Mr. Estrada, I don't know if Mr. Pierre Lewis is here. It was my understanding the 2.6 was what we originally was going to get charged, the whatever percentage, the 1 point that was reduced off that, not the entire amount, because I couldn't understand why would we be borrowing or be adding 1.2 million for the water purchasing to the amount. That was the original, I guess, back and forth last week. So Whistler insured me today, Mr. Estrada was during that meeting, that 2.6 was the amount that we were in. That kind of made some sense to me. But now you're saying that it's a possibility that we may get. So we're borrowing some money. We're adding to our total, borrowing from the state.
Our principal borrowing, yes.
From the principal, with the possibility of the state reimbursing us.
We become eligible to get a principal reduction on the loan.
I know.
So they forgive they forgive the principal.
Okay.
That will say that number, that principal amount that we would save on, is approximately 800,000 based on borrowing the 4.4, actually is a little bit less, the 4.4 million. So if we did not include the million for the water in the borrowing, then that principal forgiveness would only be 550,000.
So for 300-something thousand,
Right.
we including it.
We're including it.
Now, my question to you is, are we hoping, or is it certain that we will get that money back? Because I don't trust the state.
Well, they spoke to the state.
Okay.
Mayor and Council, Whistler Pierre Lewis, Public Works Director. We have been communicating with the state for some time now. They have told us over the phone and by email that there is a principal forgiveness for borrowing this loan.
And the whole, so they'll give us 1.2 million, the water costs. We will
Yeah.
get,
Yes.
okay, because that's what I want to, because I'm comfortable voting on this if I'm hearing that the state will reimburse us the 1.2 million.
Yes.
Which is fine. That's all I wanted. And the 1.2 million is not going to the contractors coming to us.
Right.
On record.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. You say we're gonna get reimbursed by the state, the 1.2?
They're going to, well, when we say reimbursed, the 1.2, the water is eligible to be funded under the program. Outside of that, they're going to forgive $800,000 of the total principal amount, which means, in essence, we're able to save more money by doing applying for the larger loan.
I don't understand.
Okay.
We are borrowing 4.4
We're
million.
borrowing
dollars
4.4.
from- Okay.
Which is inclusive of the 1.2 million. Because we're borrowing that much money, we're now eligible to receive a principal reduction on the amount that we're borrowing for interest purposes of 800,000.
Just for interest
For
purposes.
interest purposes.
Okay.
But if we borrow just the amount for the project, not including the amount for the water, that amount would only be 550. The savings, or the gain in interest savings rather, would more than cover the cost of borrowing the additional 1.2 for the water.
But I thought that 4.4 is coming from the $38 million loan.
Yes, it is. But remember, we have to draw it down in pieces.
In pieces.
Right.
Okay.
So this is a piece that
Okay,
they
now
approved.
you have a proposal to borrow $4.4 million out of that money. Okay, that principal reduction is coming from what? Because of the
They just forgive it. The state forgives it.
interest.
The
On interest purposes.
on the interest purposes.
Okay. Another question. You said the collection rate is at 88% right now. And from your perspective, how much should it be, the rate?
I think the rate should be somewhere between 92 and 95. I think you guys well know, going back years, we had a pretty large receivable because of arrearages that we didn't collect over the years. So the staff and utility billing has sought out to go and do payment plans for those old amounts. And, the billing has been caught up, so we're turning the water off. We're doing all the things that will help us get the collection rate back to, that window. And I think it should be between 92 and 95%.
Okay, and another question. That $38 million loan, FIF loan, is it associated with the package that for the next 5 years from 11, we have to add between 10 and 11% on the water rate?
So I need to look at the covenants on the loan, but I know when we went out, we provided them with our 5-year plan. Those rate increases were included in that package. And in each allocation, the state actually reviews the procurement and all the pieces and sends a letter saying, yes, we approve, and all of these costs are eligible or not. You know, they tell us what, you know, not. So Public Works has to stay in great communication with them, but absolutely, yes.
That increase is done since it was for 5 years?
So you did
Or
the
you took over?
first, the first set of increases were all implemented. We have the new rate study that we need to bring to the council for consideration. That will include the next 5 years worth of increases, getting us back to with the goal of getting us to a, you know, well-reserved, well-operating utility.
Of the plan?
Yes.
Okay. Because some people think here on the dais, we've been raising taxes, we've been raising water bill
For no reason?
from 8 to 11% for the past 5 years. When we did it, it was since 2011. that,
Correct.
Before.
The last 2
before
years,
us.
you've had 2-0 rate increases.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Any comments or questions? If not, Mr. Clerk.
I have a motion to approve tab G.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion made by Vice Mayor Galvin to approve tab G. The motion was seconded by Councilman Bieneme. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passed with a 5-0 vote. Tab H, proposed ordinance, second reading of the City Council of the City of North Miami, Florida, amending the City of North Miami Code of Ordinances at Chapter 2, Administration, Article 3, City Departments and Offices, Division 2, City Clerk, specifically at Sections 2-2763 and 2-284A4, to remove the responsibility for issuing business tax receipts and the collection of business taxes from the city clerk, and giving that responsibility to the finance department. Further amending Chapter 11, Licenses and Business Regulations, Article 2, Local Business Taxes, to reflect the change. Providing for repeal, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for codification, and for an effective date. That was tab H.
All right. That's, do we have anything from staff? No, nothing? Oh, that's
Nothing-
him.
not- Nothing from staff.
That's
Mayor.
you, yeah. Okay, so that's fine. We don't want to hear you tonight. We'll ask the public if there is anything they want to speak of to that item to please come forward, because public hearing is not open, but I see no one coming to the mic. That's tab H as in Harry. Public hearing is now closed, and we'll come to the dais for any opinion, concern, questions.
I can
This
tell you,
is
Mayor,
the second
Miss-
reading.
Yeah, I can tell you, Mayor and Council, we did get inquiries regarding this, and the community loves it. They love the fact that, well, let me finish my
Okay.
Comment?
Yeah, so they love the fact that we're consolidating it, and to be a lot more, the business owners appreciate it. They think we should go a little further, but that's for a future state. But for what it's worth, the public, the business owners, the ones that I've communicated with, they are definitely in support of this.
All right.
Let me ask you a question, Mr. Clerk.
Mm-hmm.
So who currently does that now in your office?
Everyone,
What do you mean, everyone?
all my staff is trained on business tax receipts.
But do you have specific folks who,
Every single person in the office deals with business tax receipts.
or whoever is available? Okay, and I think I asked you this question, Mr. Manager, as far as the folks that I'll be moving over, that will be next year. And how many folks you moving over, Mr. Clerk?
So 2 of my full-time, I'm gonna lose 50% of my staff.
Okay.
2 of my full-time staff's gonna get transferred over. But
Got it.
obviously, we're not gonna have staff movement. We're not gonna have a public conversation about that. But for
Mhm.
what it's worth, technically, this ordinance takes effect October 2018, it was supposed to take effect October 2018 next budget. But because it wasn't written in any of the rules, the way it's gonna work, effective today, quite honestly, finance is going to be responsible for the business tax receipts, because it wasn't written in the ordinance like we agreed that this would be. I'm sorry, City Attorney, you want to?
Actually, we made a change to the ordinance.
Okay.
So there's a fourth whereas clause. The fourth whereas clause that we added says whereas it is the intent of the mayor and council to transfer responsibility for billing and collection of business taxes to the finance department no later than October 1st, 2018.
Okay.
By
Give us that leeway.
October 1st, 2018, the transfer must take place, so you have from now until that time to do the
The transition. Okay, thank you.
So I stand corrected. The city attorney did include that, so that means we have up, but let me just let the mayor and council know. What happens now, we're going through a transitional period. I've already been in contact with the city manager and the finance director, and like I said last time, Margaret, and we're gonna make sure we have a smooth transition.
So of course, part of the clerk's office funding is gonna be
Drastically
transferred
cut, yeah, finance.
to finance.
Transferred. This is budget neutral change.
Transferred, okay.
Transferred.
Okay. Did we vote yet?
Nope. Do I have a motion to approve? No. Do I have a motion to approve tab H?
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilman Bien-Aimé, and the motion was seconded by Vice Mayor Galvin to approve tab H. Because this is an ordinance, I'm gonna conduct a roll call vote. Vice Mayor Galvin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilwoman Keys?
Yes.
Councilman Bien-Aimé?
Yes.
Mayor Smith Joseph?
Yes.
And Councilman Desiree?
Yes.
Mayor, this item was approved, 5-0 vote. Tab I, proposed ordinance, first reading of the City of North Miami, Florida, amending Chapter 29 of the City of North Miami Code of Ordinances entitled Land Development Regulations by repealing Article 3, Division 2 entitled General Development Review Procedures, specifically at Section 3-213 entitled Certificate of Reoccupancy, Conflicts, Severability, Codification, and an Effective Date.
All right, we'll now open it to the public if there is no staff presentation, no? Nothing
To
from,
make up the ordinance, can you give us an explanation?
no,
Mr. Mayor, no?
who's
Okay.
well,
I'll go ahead and I'll jump into the fray and make the presentation since I'm the one who asked that this be brought forward. Around about 1990, 1991, this community was undergoing a change as there were a lot of properties for sale and families were moving in. And there was concern amongst the elected leadership at that point that homes were being subdivided illegally. In other words, the worry was in about 1990, 1991 that single-family homes were being subdivided into multi-family homes with additional kitchens and or additional entrances to the property that may have likely been done illegally. I know that that was the situation because I used to be an activist at that point who was sitting in the chairs out there. And as folks got concerned with the influx of new residents coming into the city, they were concerned that single-family homes were being changed into multi-family homes without permits. In that light, then, this reoccupancy ordinance was enacted. But at the time, I can remember the room being very, very full when this was being debated. Residents were worried that the city was going to use this reoccupancy ordinance to come into their homes to start looking at any other thing that they might see whenever they came in. And the city council at that point vehemently said, no, no, no. The only thing that we're going to be looking at when we come in to do the reoccupancy ordinances is to see whether or not a home has been subdivided or an additional kitchen has been added without permits. Now, 25 years later, we're at a situation where I regularly hear from residents that the sale of their home is being held up because in the course of a reoccupancy inspection, city inspectors are coming in and noticing other work that was done. Perhaps a kitchen cabinet was put in without permits, other things outside of the scope of additional kitchens or subdivided homes with additional entrances. So I believe, in my opinion, that we've morphed the purpose of the reoccupancy inspection over the years. What started out 25 years ago as being only about additional kitchens or additional entrances now means whenever an inspector walks into the home, they can cite whatever they see that might have been done, and as a result, property sales are being held up. I've spoken with city administration, and they don't feel that there's been clear direction from the council perhaps that says, yes, we want you to just walk in and cite whatever you see. There are concerns from some inspectors, I understand, who walk in and see things that might be life safety issues, that they should go ahead and cite those things. In my opinion, after 25 years, it's time to revisit the issue. Either we are going to have a reoccupancy that looks at only second kitchens and only second entrances, or we're going to have a reoccupancy program that looks at anything that they want to see or cite, or we're going to do away with the reoccupancy program. So I bring this tonight forward so that the council can give clear direction as to what we want our reoccupancy program to look like. Single family versus multifamily, anything at all, or nothing at all. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
We have
Through the mayor, real quickly, Councilman Galvin did ask that we look at some of the numbers. We went through 2017 because it was a hand-by-hand exercise. So out of the 800 reoccupancies performed, 140 were denied. Of that 140, 119 were because of other issues that were identified that were not permanent issues, and the balance were because of actual creation of an illegal unit. So that's roughly 20 out of the 800. We did 800 in 2017. We've done 800
applications.
Yeah. Out of the 800, 400 have been denied.
400?
I mean, excuse me, 140. Sorry, I apologize. 140 have been denied. Of the 140, 119 were because of other issues. They saw some other unpermitted work, anything. And then the balance were because of an actual additional living dwelling was created. An illegal unit was created. The rest, the remaining 21.
Only 21 was related to another bathroom or something.
Right.
It says that you have to identify it, right? You can't leave it.
I'm sorry. So I'm just hearing this. So as I'm hearing.
Okay, now at which point do we bring it to the public hearing before we go into this back and forth? Okay. Ms. Montgomery, no, let's open the public hearing, and then we come back to it.
Thank you. Annie Montgomery, 2082 Northeast 124th Street. Good evening, everybody. I'm glad Scott brought this to the floor. We really do need the recertificate of occupancy, which originally started off many years ago. I was here and spoke in favor of it. I think where all this went a little bit haywire was during the foreclosures. We had so many foreclosures, the homes were completely stripped of appliances, of kitchen cabinets, and then when they did the certificate of reoccupancy, there was a lot of work required, and that's when the legal kitchens went in, a lot of improvements without permits. There were no permits. So that's when this all started. I believe it could be very simple. I think Biscayne Park has it, Miami Shores has it, Hialeah has it, El Portal has it, and it's a very simple statement that it's zoning. It's zoned single family, it remains single family. If an inspector goes in and there's 2 kitchens, that gets denied. If it's a duplex and there are more than 2 kitchens in the duplex, in the 2 units, that gets denied. It's zoned duplex, it's zoned triplex, it's zoned fourplex. So that's where this has gotten out of hand a little bit. I never did complain. It should be up to the attorney representing the buyer or the buyer themselves to make sure there are no open permits or illegal additions. It could be as a disclosure in the seller's disclosure. Actually, it's in our contracts that anything that was done without permits, the seller has to disclose. So I recommend that we keep the recertificate of occupancy. We need it because we'll turn residential homes into income properties.
All right,
That is
thank you
what's
very
happening.
much, Ms. Montgomery.
Kenneth Each, 776 Northeast on 25th Street. I have 3 properties, and I have to agree, if I'm in an R1 district and all of a sudden that becomes multifamily, that's pulling down my property values. However, at the same token, if I live next door to a person and he puts in a new kitchen or new windows and he didn't pull a permit, he's improving the value of the neighborhood, or that person's improving the value of the neighborhood, and the inspector would come in and tag him for that, and that would hold up the sale. I think it should be the original intent. You go in there, if there's an illegal room, it doesn't go. If you subdivided the house into a multifamily, it doesn't go. But to find new kitchen cabinets or a new floor or something like that, all we're doing is we're penalizing the owner, we're penalizing the neighborhood. You know, you went back, maybe the connection isn't, it is there. We took away our traffic light cameras because we felt that we were penalizing our citizens. Well, in a way, we're doing the same thing. If the violation is egregious and we subdivided a residential property, and I remember that, Scott, I was here, into multifamily, then yes, the sale shouldn't go through. And as the manager said, I think we had 22 last year or 23 for that reason. And that should be the reason to stop the sale, not because Joe Schmo put up new kitchens, new bathrooms, something like that. Thank you.
Public hearing is still open on the item, but no one is coming to the mic, so I am forced to close it. Public hearing is now closed. Any more questions from the dialogue?
Mr. Mayor, may I ask this of staff, and I'll then cede the floor. Is there a way to keep the reoccupancy program in place as it affects subdivision and second entrances and the original intent, and transfer, if somebody needs a permit for a new kitchen that they put in without a permit or something like that, transfer that to some other governing body or piece of paper so that we're not, people lose the sale of their homes when it's found that they've upgraded a kitchen and the buyer doesn't want to wait for them to go through our permitting process to get a permit after the fact and pay the after the fact costs, et cetera, et cetera. Is there a way to address both without it being a reoccupancy failing?
That's partly the discussion I was just having with the manager, because I think this may be a situation where the code that we have is perfectly fine. It's just not being enforced the way it's supposed to be enforced, because all the issues that we're talking about tonight are already addressed in the code. Right now, the code says that you have the reoccupancy inspection, but nothing that's found during that inspection should stop you from getting a conditional use permit unless it's those things that we're talking about, unless it's already cited. So it says here in section E already, it already says that. And then even if it is one of those things, you can get a conditional use. So it seems as if this was already addressed, and I know in the conversation I had with Councilwoman Keys, I think this was a change that was made later on to address some of these issues that were coming up. So it may be, from what I'm hearing, an issue of maybe the inspectors not understanding what the code allows or what they should be doing. So it may just be an education process. But everything you're talking about is already in code. It's already there.
Because what's bothered me about it is that an inspector, I mean, I was here, and the council swore, the city administration swore, we're not going to use this as like you're inviting Dracula into your house and now he can see whatever he wants to see. And over the years, that's sort of what we're doing. An inspector is coming in and they're not, I mean, maybe they are looking at kitchens and bathrooms, but what they're really doing is going up cabinets, citation, citation. And I don't think that, I mean, I get it that I don't want our residents to do work without permits, but in the larger scheme of things, to me, it's not the biggest failing on the planet to have redone your kitchen or put new granite on your countertop without getting a permit, and it's not fair when you're selling your house, in my opinion, to not be able to sell your house because we've come in under that auspice and seen that.
It may be useful for me to just on the record, just read section E, restriction on inspection. It says inspections under this section shall be limited to ensuring compliance with zoning requirements and dwelling use. Information gained or conditions observed, including life safety violations other than as to the dwelling use or zoning designations addressed in paragraphs A or B of this section during the course of any inspection under this section, shall not be utilized as the basis for denying a certificate of reoccupancy. This shall not preclude the bringing of code enforcement actions against the property for violations observed during the inspection. So you can bring the code enforcement violations, but it shouldn't stop you from going forward with the reoccupancy certificate, which means the sale could go forward. So I'm not sure what's actually happening on the field, but the code is pretty explicit.
And then I would say procedurally, the only thing you would run into is, say that inspection happens, you're supposed to close on Friday, inspection happens on Wednesday. Fine, we sign off on the reoccupancy, but we find one of those code violations, we write it up as a code violation.
But you still
and then
proceed
now
to closing.
Now it, yeah, well, the closing proceeds, now we're dealing with a different individual
Yeah.
potentially. So, you know, we may need to look at how we maneuver that aspect of it. The next paragraph does say though about if it was previously cited, then the conditional, is it the conditional? Then conditional occupancy. So it doesn't stop the closing, but it says these things do need to be cleared at in some time frame. So you know, it kind of, to me, it's like we're putting it into the buyer beware category at some point.
Councilwoman?
Thank you. I'm very familiar with this code. As a real estate attorney, I've done hundreds of closings in North Miami and watched when the code was put into place with the reoccupancy. Everything was fine, as Ms. Montgomery stated. When we had all the foreclosures around 2009 or 10, the council, I was not on there, the council changed the code to make it for life safety issues and inspections. They made it more stringent because people were ripping the houses apart. When I got on the council, people were complaining about it, and we did address that, spent a lot of time with our past attorney. About 4 years ago, we completely redid the reoccupancy so that the intent of it was strictly for a zoning issue, meaning a single-family home should only have one dwelling unit, a duplex 2. And sitting on the Board of Adjustment, we saw so many people who wanted variances because their duplexes had been converted to triplexes. It made the living units below standards of living, sizes, etc. So what we did was do exactly that. If you look online on our website, the application, it specifically states this is strictly a zoning issue. It is not inspection of the condition, and it tells you to go ahead and do that. I think that I totally agree that we need to educate the people who do the inspection that this is a zoning issue. If they want to notice something, great, but you don't not give a certificate of occupancy. We did spend a lot of time doing that, and it's really important. We don't want to go back to multiple dwellings and single-family homes. This is a citywide issue. I had someone across the street from me closed up his Florida room, put a kitchen in there, and his tenant was parking down the side of the house, living in there. And they were doing this. This is throughout the city. It's not any particular neighborhood, but it puts an extra impact. You've got multifamily and single-family housing. Now with Airbnb, I would really hate to see us undo it like
We don't have Airbnb
Yeah,
here.
that's the thing. But I don't want to cloud the issue because Airbnb is totally separate, and Airbnb outside of 5 properties in the city is fully illegal. An inspector coming in to look at a house at sale is not knowing whether there's an Airbnb there or not. I don't think that's
No,
fair to throw that in there.
but it just makes it
And
easier.
as the city manager has just pointed out, of the 800 inspections that we did in the last or in this current year, only 20 involved second kitchens and things like that.
And-
So, let's not like broad paint that. Oh my God, the people are out there just converting their homes willy nilly. It's crazy.
People-
It's out of control.
People
'cause
do
it's
do
not.
that, knowing
They-
that we
they-
have this rule, we have less. I think if we didn't have this reoccupancy, you would see a lot more than 21 being illegally converted. So
I don't know, because if somebody's going to do something illegally, they're not going to care whether there's a rule or there's not.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
not a
anything
rule.
else to
I
say?
guess in the end, and I'll be quiet so my other council members can speak. Inviting a city government into somebody's home is very serious to me because that's your home. That's where you live. I believe there is a right of a property owner to have a little bit of privacy within their 4 walls. Again, I get it that we don't want something to be built, electricity to be put in without code, and now it burns down, and that could be a danger. But it's not a. We're sending city inspectors into people's homes, and they're citing other things other than what originally was the intent behind this. And so I'm if that's what we want to do as a city, I'm down with that. Like if the city council wants to vote that that's what this program is meant to do, that we're going to send somebody in and they're going to cite whatever they see, then that's fine. It's just that I was literally in this room 25, 26, 27 years ago when this was voted on, and that was not only not the intent, it was specifically stated that was not the intent. We're not going to send people into your house to cite your kitchen cabinets and cite these other things and cite. They're only going to be looking for cabinets.
You changed that ordinance in 2009 to open that up.
And gladly, I'm still sitting here to be able to perhaps revisit it at this
We
point.
did
because
revisit it, and I think it's good that it should only be for zoning. I'm fine. It's
I'm
only
about
for
to motion
zoning.
to just get rid of the whole thing, but I'll just be quiet.
I have a question, Mr. Manager. And you said 800 inspection has been done. And out of that 800, 140 has been denied. And out of that, 119 was denied because of other issues. But when the city attorney read the ordinance, it seems like those inspectors are in violation
Yes.
of the ordinance.
And I wanted to address that. I think what's being done, and I'd have to talk to the inspector for sure. In the next paragraph, it talks about previously cited violations. So they may be reading that and saying, "Oh well, you built something without a permit. Let me grab it." So I would need to talk to the inspectors and see if that's indeed what's going on. But the real number, if the intent is just for the zoning matter,
yeah.
then it's out of 800 we found 20.
20. Okay. That means it's an inspection issue. That's
When we
the
inspected,
inspectors-
the inspector saw an illegal unit, and they properly denied.
When that's not their job.
No, that would have been their job. For the 20.
For the 20.
No, for the 21.
Yeah.
The 21 is another kitchen, maybe.
Correct.
They convert it.
Correct.
And,
So they were supposed to.
the
They were
garage
supposed to
another
deny the
building like that.
reoccupancy.
But besides that, for the 119 that they didn't supposed to, what you can do about it?
So we would procedurally, and we just kind of talked about it, what we would do, the reoccupancy would be approved, but then they would cite the property under a code violation.
Yeah,
so
but
they would
that's
notice.
not, that's not the job of that inspector. For
Wait,
the
well-
119 violation that we are talking about.
Well,
based on
that's not the job to go inside and cite
Well,
people.
it's the
about-
city's job to.
Yeah, but when you send an inspector for a
Our inspectors
reoccupancy,
can.
they
Our
have one
inspectors.
mission.
No, hold on. Our inspectors, our code people, and the building folks that are licensed inspectors can cite
We're talking
for
about
the
going
other.
inside people house. It's not just walking by or passing by.
No, I'm talking about they went in to do a.
Yeah, but when you go inside, right?
If they see a
you
violation,
have authorization, right, to go
yes,
inside.
but if they
for
see it-
one reason,
I think you're missing my point. These individuals are licensed by the state. They have a legal obligation under their license if they see something to cite it. What I'm saying is,
that's when it's like you agree with them with the 119 violation.
no.
That's
I'm not agreeing that they should have denied the reoccupancy. What I'm saying is, the property still should have been cited and passed on to the
inside?
special to the special magistrate and go through that
Yeah,
other process.
to do that, me, I will. If Scott won the motion, I will second the motion to get rid of it.
Right.
If that's the case.
Right. Keep
That's
in
when
mind,
you go to
if they
peop-
see it and a fire happens the next week.
But no, understand sometimes people bought the house like
No, I got
10
that.
years
That's
ago.
different. I got that.
With that.
We understand that.
The first inspector approved that with the violation, and someone else purchased that home, and now the other inspector went and cited the people.
I mean-
because the previous realtor was the friend of the inspector. They decided not to cite those people, and the other people that come in, and they decide to cite that.
I'm sensitive to that, but the old saying, two wrongs don't make a right. If he inspected and he missed it, passed it,
It's
whatever,
every day we receive that.
but then I go
about
in
that.
later
Every
for
day.
something else and I
say
see it,
something?
I have an obligation to cite it.
Man, it's-
But again, not hold
But,
up reoccupancy.
but I think, if I can say a few words about this, I think this is a safeguard. I mean, this is a safeguard. This is an opportunity for any violation that may be a safety issue. I mean, there may be a property, like, let's say it's a new family coming in with some kids. Just a hypothetical, case. They come in with some kids, and there may have been a previous violation where some pipes are exposed or whatever it may be. But I think it behooves that inspector as a local, the government official, I should say, your staff member, to really address it. But that should not preclude that
The reoccupancy.
the reoccupancy. So it's a different issue. But so what I'm asking is maybe during that time, that person may only have 1 day to close or 2 days, and we may not have code enforcement hearings, whatever you could call it. Is there any way that we can institute maybe an emergency magistrate where somebody can call, just like you get a warrant, you go to a judge and get,
Yeah, it shouldn't.
like if the inspector is really acting a fool, and you want that person who wants to close, sometimes you do get that. I do get some of those complaints of inspectors thinking that they're like some kind of cowboys, walking around and harassing residents. We do have that, and there has been some kind of system, and this is not even it's in part it's a policy issue, but in the other part it's an administration issue as well. I think you guys, like the attorney say, the ordinance is already there, to protect, whoever, the people who are actually doing the closing. But it's just an education issue, and like talking to the inspectors and let them know that they're not there to do martial law or anything like that. I mean, it's just, if there's something to address, you address it, you report it to your business, to your building person or to code, whatever it is, but the closing should go on. I mean, it's an opportunity to catch things, but not to stop
The closing.
closing. And I think Mr. Clerk wants to be heard on the item.
Because there's a couple of residents that have flooded my office, and I spoke to them. I brought them to Councilman Bienema's office. I brought them to your office, Mayor. And there's 2 occasions where people lost their homes because of one of those 119 violations. Not the safety, like the zoning issues that that Penny and Carol talked about. What Councilman Galvin and what Bienema is saying and what the mayor is saying is true. Let me give you a real life story. The guy's house was in foreclosure. All they did, they updated the kitchen. No added bathrooms, no added kitchens. The kitchen cabinets, he was cited for it, and he included a gate. He found a buyer to buy it via short sale. Because the certificate of reoccupancy wasn't issued, or even if it was, the mortgage company declined the short sale because he improved the property to sell the property and then he was penalized for it. And just back to what he was saying, that guy lost the short sale purchase. He lost the home because the sale fell through. The judge had no choice but to foreclose his property, and now it's boarded up near North Miami Elementary School. All because, like Councilman Galvin was just saying, the vast majority of those denials, 20 out of 140, were for life safety zoning issues. So the vast majority were for people who did what they were just talking about. Let me fix my cabinet, let me fix my window so I can sell the house so it can look better. And the man, 2-3 people lost their homes because of it. And when I called the bank. I did everything I could that Friday in my office 2-3 times. I brought them up to the mayor and council. They lost their homes because we think that we're perfectly justified to not issue the reoccupancy because a person included a gate or upgraded their kitchen cabinets. So I just wanted to say, because the mayor, you know about that, Councilman Desmond, you guys know. I brought them over to y'all, and we tried to help them, but this makes no sense. People shouldn't lose their homes because of this. Anyway, I just wanted to make sure they know that I told their story.
So
Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, through you to the city attorney or city manager. It's one thing to see a life safety issue. It's another thing to see some kitchen cabinets or a gate. Under state law, if the inspector is inside, do they have to cite minor items alongside major items?
Mayor, Council, Steve Pizzillo, building official for the city through the city manager. The 119 violations I personally looked at today, they are all life, health, safety issues. First of all, if you do work without a permit in the state of Florida, you are violating 3 Florida statutes. And it is a misdemeanor in some cases, and it's a third-degree felony in other cases. So the 119 is not, they're just not putting up a cabinet. There are certain requirements that when you do a kitchen, you have to do other things electrically to make the house safer. We have older houses, they do not meet the electrical code of today, so if you do your kitchen, yes, you are going to have to do some electrical work to upgrade the kitchen to make it safer. It's not, they're not being cited for changing a toilet, they're not being cited for changing a vanity, those go under the repair categories, and we don't deal with that.
Are we citing those things when we go in under reoccupancy? Are we citing toilets and cabinets and?
No. The 119 I looked at, all but 4, because like the city manager said, it was a page-by-page thing today that we did. They were all, there was a lot of electrical in there, a lot of new electrical panels, new electrical wiring.
Oh, Jesus.
There's a lot of work, a lot of windows.
But the city clerk, and I don't know the address, but the city clerk just illustrated an item where somebody failed because of cabinets and a gate.
And I'll tell you, I hear all the time, all I did was change a vanity, and we go in, and the entire bathroom's been remodeled, the entire kitchen's been remodeled.
So here's what I think we perhaps need to do. I was here in this room. I can't speak to you how passionate the room was packed that night 25 years ago, and the council swore we're only coming in to look for second kitchens and to look for additional entrances. So I think if we're going to keep what we've got, so to speak, where anything is game, we quit calling it a reoccupancy, and we come up with something else, some other title that just sort of says we're in. And then I'm sort of uncomfortable with us doing that.
You talked about us holding up, sales. We do have an avenue for a reoccupancy through remodeling, where the buyer of the property signs a form with us acknowledging the fact that they understand what needs to be done to the house, and we give them 180 days to complete it, where the buyer is well aware of what's wrong with the property. And those seem to go fine. We do have buyers that are reluctant, though, to do that because they don't want to necessarily be buying a problem.
Can I say something? Go ahead.